Leading meditation and mindfulness experts warned that now the lockdown restrictions are starting to ease. The one group that may struggle to enter back into normality might be men. Joining us now is Sally, Kellett, founder of Mirosuna. Thank you so much for your time.
No worries, thank you.
Obviously a really interesting topic. Why men?
I think men traditionally have handled mindfulness very different to women, and I guess mindfulness has seen more of a women's exercise or women's activity. So yeah, I think it's a really good time for men to get into it.
We look back at some of the really big traumatic events in the past that have affected men. It could be wars, it could be things like the recession of the 1990s, where you see a lot of men who become unemployed and you end up with huge social problems. In fact, I think of the 1990s where we had serial killings. It was the last time we really had them in Australia, but it was directly after recessions, and it was because we didn't really take the emotional, mental side of problems too seriously.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, traditionally men have been told to suck it up, power through it, be the breadwinner, and there's all these societal pressures that are being put on them that that don't allow them to express themselves. And being part of human, you need to be able to deal with those emotions, acknowledge them and work through them.
What I find interesting though is we've been talking about this topic for a couple of years. We remember Julia Gillard's partner, Tim, set up the Men's Shed, which was ideas to provide safe spaces. We do so much work when it comes to domestic violence to talk about it. We're seeing the numbers of people reporting domestic violence increase because we're talking about it as well. But is the actual centre of the problem in terms of how men are responding, reacting, talking about themselves, is that changing at all? Are we softening?
I think it's changing, but slowly. So I have clients that are men, but still traditionally 90% of them are still women. So when I see men enter mindfulness, they're really just starting. They're really just hearing about it, thinking, maybe it can help me. And this isn't all men, of course. There are some men that are well and truly on their path, but I'm just talking about the clients that I have. They're really just starting out on their journey, wanting to experience it because they've heard about the benefits.
We were just talking about emotional intelligence. Is it generally the ones who do have high EQ who walk through your door?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And how do we get the ones who don't to be involved? Because you would imagine it's actually the people who don't put their hand up that are quite often the ones that need the help. Absolutely.
I think the whole thing is about demystifying what mindfulness is, making sure people understand mindfulness is not meditation. It's not about sitting in a room with fluffy cushions and candles and chanting Om.
It better not be.
No, it isn't. Well, surely not with Mirosuna. But it's really about lifting that veil so that they feel like it is a welcoming and humanistic experience.
And we have a look at the generations. I feel like the younger generations, the one after millennials, are actually a lot more in touch with their emotions. They're open to ideas. They're, for example, less homophobic. They're less, a woman has a role, a man has a role. Is this just the way that we're going, do you think? Or do you think that we need to still try and change people who might be over 50s?
Both, absolutely both. So my approach is mindfulness is for everybody. If we can catch them young, great. And there's so many studies on how mindfulness can benefit the younger generation and shapes who they are when they become older. And also if you're 50, it's not too late to practice mindfulness and get in touch with who you really are and learn how to process your stress and your emotions, because everyone wants to live a happier life.
We're seeing the AFL do a lot of work in this space. A lot of older men, younger men and women, I might add, but the one place that you see generations look towards is sport. And in sport, when we're seeing sportsmen who are coming forward on the front page of the Herald Sun newspaper, for example, and saying, I've been dealing with this problem, this has been going on. We've all watched Ben Cousins, for example. His journey has been horrific to watch from the outside. And when we watch people open up and talk about it, there are two versions. One side says, the poor guy, glad he's seeking help. Another side is, shut up and get on with it. That view from society of just get along, don't sit and talk about or think about your problems, the British stiff upper lip, is still pretty prevalent in our society. Yeah,
absolutely. A lot of the times we're told to just suck it up and move on. But we're human, we can't just suck it up and move on.
So what role do you think that sports organisations play, from the teams to the clubs? Because there is a lot of, get out in the middle of winter in a singlet and shorts and go kick the ball and punch into the other side, and you've got to be great. But at the same time, we see drug issues in sport. It's kind of the perfect place, isn't it, to be talking about mindfulness, the perfect place to be talking about the issues that you are facing, which could be the same as in a workplace, compared to the fact that people are going home and really struggling. So what's your advice to sports codes and clubs?
I think the thing is, it's great because they get a lot of visibility. So their influence is really big because everyone's watching them. But it's important to be able to show that you can be amazing at what you do, whether it's sport or you're in a corporate job or whatever. But it's also okay to have these feelings, and it's okay to not be perfect. But it's equally as important to be able to have an accepting and welcoming society that supports you through that journey. So we want to show people that we're all human and we all can carry on with our daily lives, but it's also okay to be in touch with how we really feel.
So talk to me about your business. Where did it begin? How long have you been operating? Where do you operate?
So it's going to be in South Melbourne, but it will be post-COVID because obviously it's a pretty awkward time.
How's this period been for you?
It's been really good for me personally because I've had a lot of time and space to myself going inwards without all that external distraction, which I hope more and more people find.
It's incredible, isn't it? As things have started to return, traffic is the obvious one. Queues at the coffee shop is another one. I've actually started to miss the lockdown and thinking to myself, it was actually a nicer society. I was quite surprised. I thought that if governments shut down, societies would all rebel and we'd be back at the Eureka Stockade. It turns out that we're actually enjoying that moment to ourselves. It was kind of like this global moment to sit back and to look at our lives. What do you think are some of the learnings that we've seen?
Absolutely, that we need to have a better quality of life in terms of stop putting all these distractions into it. It's so easy to just get carried away with seeing this person, doing that thing, just get carried away with everything in life, but forgetting what truly is important to us in the limited time that we have. So I think the COVID's good because, well, it's not good, but in a way it is because it helps us reduce that external noise so that we can't go to the pub with our mates. We can't just go to the footy on the weekend.
We can't go and do retail therapy when we're having a difficult day. We actually have to sit back and ask ourselves why we're having a difficult day.
Exactly, that's right.
And it's funny listening to a few of my friends who would tell me that when the lockdown first began, they were listening to the radio all day, and now they're enjoying silence more. So it's kind of like being without, as you mentioned, the distractions, without all of the noise in our lives, which we've become so used to, right? We've become so used to having a million tasks, the phone constantly going off, the emails constantly going off, and as that's all slowed down, I wonder whether we want to go back.
I mean, I partially don't want to go back, but I think it'll be a new norm. Like, I think people sometimes think about it as during COVID and post-COVID, everything will be back to normal. I don't think there will be a normal as what it was before. People are going to have to find the new norm and a new way to express themselves.
But we're also going through a period of time before COVID-19 where a lot of people were losing their jobs, industries were changing. It's almost like another industrial revolution where humans have been replaced by machines to some extent, but now artificial intelligence is kind of the new frontier. Businesses are looking to trim down, slim down. Retail's moving online, so less of the face-to-face communication, more of dealing with a robot. That will severely impact not just men, but everyone, obviously. What's your thoughts as we go through this really challenging time for people? Because you can't just flick a switch. We're all going to have to move across. But it seems right now there's only bad news for jobs.
Yeah, I think there's good news and there's bad news. There's, as technology takes over, like I've been in technology my whole career, as technology takes over, there's also new opportunities with new types of jobs. But I think at the very end of the day, we're human and we crave social interaction and connection, and that never can go away. And it's up to us to maintain those social connections in our lives.
Yeah, absolutely. Really appreciate your time. Thank you so much.
No worries. Thank you so much.
All right, let's